waters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Bit earlier at about 7 a.m. A group from the coast. Welcome to #P8Vote2013.
Today on Rappler, the bicameral conference committee approves the 2014 national budget, removing the pork barrel. The Supreme Court issues new guidelines to speed up the Mindanao massacre trial. And Thailand's Prime Minister rejects calls to resign ahead of snap elections.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. We are coming to you live from Anvaya Cove in Morong, Bataan. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The bicameral conference committee approves the proposed 2.264 trillion peso national budget for 2014. Now it goes to the Senate and the House of Representatives to be ratified before it's sent to the President for his signature. The 2014 General Appropriations Bill includes a 100 billion peso lump sum rehabilitation fund for calamity-hit areas. Tuesday's BICAM hearing was open to the public after citizens demanded the deliberations be more transparent in the aftermath of the pork barrel scam. This is the first appropriations bill without the Priority Development Assistance Fund, or PDAF. This was earlier struck down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. The House of Representatives realigned the 25.2 billion peso fund intended for the PDAF to 6 national agencies. The Senate deleted the 3.2 billion peso PDAF of 15 senators and Vice President Jejomar Binay, who chose to forego their discretionary funds. The Supreme Court asks the Budget Secretary to submit a list of sources of funds for the controversial Disbursement Acceleration Program, or DAP, and where the funds were used. Deadline for submission is January 21, 2014. On Monday, the court postpones oral arguments on the legality of the DAP to January 28. DAP came under fire after constitutionalists questioned whether it was legal. The government says DAP is meant to boost economic growth, but critics say DAP is an invention of the executive branch. The Supreme Court issues new guidelines to speed up the Mindanao massacre trial, which has been going on for 4 years. In a resolution, the court directs the presiding judge to require witnesses to submit judicial affidavits instead of direct testimonies. Under the new rules, the presiding judge is authorized to issue separate decisions for issues which are, quote, ripe for resolution, and hold separate trials for the accused. In November 2009, armed men killed 58 people, accompanying now Maguindanao Governor Ismael Manguda in the filing of his candidacy against Andel Ampatuan Jr. Members of the Ampatuan clan face charges over the massacre, the worst election-related violence in Philippine history. Malacanang releases the memorandum order defining the responsibilities of former Senator Ping Lacson in leading rehabilitation efforts after Super Typhoon Yolanda, known internationally as Haiyan. Memorandum Order Number 62 makes Lacson the Presidential Assistant for Rehabilitation and Recovery. Lacson will be overall manager and coordinator of recovery efforts in typhoon-affected areas. More than 1.1 million houses were destroyed by the typhoon, with total damage pegged at more than 35 billion pesos. Lacson will coordinate with the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council and consult with local government units. As Presidential Assistant, Lacson exercises oversight over government agencies involved in rehabilitation efforts. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will make his first trip to the Philippines to visit the storm-hit city of Tacloban. The Philippines' central region is still struggling to recover after the super typhoon hit a month ago. State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki says Kerry will tour Tacloban to, quote, witness firsthand the recovery efforts that are taking place there and discuss how the United States will continue to contribute to the relief and reconstruction work. The U.S. diplomat canceled a planned visit in the Philippines in October because of a storm. More Filipino families may become poorer because of the calamities that hit the Philippines this year. In a press briefing Monday, National Economic and Development Authority Assistant Director General Rosemary Adillon says a new study estimates poverty incidence could increase by 1.5 percentage points. This is because of the massive destruction caused by the super typhoon that battered the Visayas last month and the Bohol earthquake in October. Adillon says this means 1.5 million people may fall into poverty in affected areas. She adds, Eastern Visayas, the second poorest region in the country, could dislodge the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao as the poorest. Thai Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra refuses demands by anti-government protesters to resign ahead of snap elections next year. An estimated 140,000 people gather in Bangkok Monday, calling for Yingluck to step down after more than a month of street protests. After calling snap polls in a bid to ease tensions, Yingluck says her cabinet is legally bound to act as an interim government. She adds, I would like the protesters to stop and to use the electoral system to choose who will become the next government. But protest leader Sutep Tagsuban rejects elections and promises to, quote, uproot the Thaksin regime. Thaksin, Yingluck's brother, was ousted by royalist generals in a coup 7 years ago. The rallies leave at least 5 people dead and more than 200 injured. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, the New York Times says U.S. and British intelligence spy on the global online gaming world because it fears terrorists could use the popular platform to plot attacks. Citing classified documents from U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden, the New York Times says the spies created characters in the fantasy worlds of Second Life and World of Warcraft to carry out surveillance, recruit informers, and collect data. At number 7, the wife of revered democracy leader Nelson Mandela, Graça Machel, has barely been seen in public since her husband's death. Friends of the family say Mandela's third wife is holding up. A UN expert on children in armed conflict, Machel is also leading a global campaign against child brides. In 2010, Time magazine named her one of the world's 100 most influential people. And at number 8, a woman who said she was raped and the 2 journalists who reported her story are sentenced to jail for defamation in Somalia. A Somali court hands a suspended 6-month sentence to the 19-year-old woman for, quote, defamation and lying, while the 2 journalists are sentenced for defamation and insulting state institutions. The alleged victim said she was raped at gunpoint by 2 fellow journalists. The accused reporters were not arrested. Al Jazeera reports it is the second time this year that Somalia jailed a woman for reporting rape. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page that crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. If we take a look today to one of today's stories, Justin Bieber, who raised money for the Philippines. Justin Bieber performs for Tacloban kids. How interesting. You have 46% happy, 15% annoyed, 25% amused, 8% don't care, 4% inspired, and red, 2% angry. That red picked up in the story that's gotten the most number of votes today. Politics, lack of command, hound Tacloban. This is during the crisis. During the actual disaster, you have a whopping 78% angry. That red picked up in the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Tuesday, December 10th, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.